Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, September 3rd. This is Gina McGuire. Over the next couple of days, we will have some impacts to fire potential across the Great Basin. Most notably will be the gusty winds continuing with low relative humidity over parts of eastern Nevada into the northern half of Utah both today and tomorrow. We also will have stronger winds further south and west. However, some of these areas the fuels are not as critical. Also, further north, as we have low pressure systems move through the northern portion of the Great Basin, we will see much cooler weather continuing with some rain and even high elevation snowfall anywhere from far northern Nevada up through Idaho and Wyoming over the next couple of days. Looking at the last 24 hours, we have had some thunderstorms over mainly Utah into Wyoming and far eastern Idaho, and these thunderstorms did produce some wetting rains, especially over parts of central and eastern Utah, where some areas near the Uinta Basin did see a quarter to over a half-inch of rainfall. However, most other areas generally saw lighter amounts over northern Utah and up into Wyoming and eastern Idaho. Looking at the fire activity over the last 24 hours indicated by the red dots, we generally saw light initial attack, mainly across Utah and Nevada, with another new large fire over northern Utah. Looking at the observed precipitation over the last week to 4 weeks, the last 7 days is the image on the left, and this is observed precipitation showing rainfall really only over the southern and eastern portion of the Great Basin, with anything further north being a lot more spotty, and very dry conditions continuing over western and northern areas of the Great Basin. Over the last 30 days, the image on the right shows the percent of normal precipitation, indicating only areas and only parts of the area over southern Nevada into the Arizona Strip and the southern half of Utah have seen near or just above normal precipitation over the last 4 weeks. However, most areas that have even received rainfall in Utah, and this is generally below normal. Again, further north and west, some areas have seen no precipitation for over a month, and even precipitation that has occurred has been very light. Looking at how our ERCs have changed over the last 4 days, as we have had some cooler weather already move into the northern half of the Great Basin and a few showers, ERCs this past Wednesday were above the 97th percentile across much of the northern third of the Great Basin, and now have moderated somewhat across parts of Idaho, dropping to below the 80th percentile in some areas of far northwest Nevada and southwest Idaho. However, again, these fuels are still critical for the time of year. In many other areas, even though they have dropped across Idaho into northern Nevada and northern Utah, are still above the 80th or 90th percentile, with again still some spotty areas above the 97th percentile. The water vapor satellite loop from this morning still shows this trough of low pressure across the west. We do have an upper level disturbance now that is moving towards the San Francisco Bay Area, which will continue moving eastward, and this may trigger some showers and thunderstorms today anywhere across parts of central and northeast Nevada and eventually up into Idaho, as we have a stronger area of low pressure that will drop south into the Pacific Northwest tonight and move across the northern half of the Great Basin tomorrow. This will bring a little bit more widespread chances for wetting rains over the northern half of the Great Basin and much cooler temperatures, which is what also will allow some areas in the high elevations to see some snowfall. However, in the meantime, we will continue with the gusty southwest winds and dry conditions over much of the southern and eastern half of the Great Basin today. Now looking at our fire potential for today, the main concern as this trough moves in will be the continued stronger winds, which will be stronger than what we saw yesterday over the northern half of Utah into eastern Nevada. And these are in areas where we have ongoing incidents and also where fuels are still critical and recent lightning for the possibility of holdovers. We may see those areas of showers or thunderstorms develop from western and central Nevada northeastward. However, most of the lightning will be up into Idaho, and these fuels have moderated somewhat with higher humidity. The picture on the left shows where we're expecting those showers and thunderstorms today. However, the image on the right shows these wind gusts for this afternoon, with again the strongest winds across western Utah into eastern Nevada, where wind gusts could be in excess of 40 miles per hour. By Sunday, the trough is still in place, but we have a colder area of low pressure that drops into Idaho, which will bring a better chance for more widespread rainfall across parts of the northern areas of the Great Basin. And you can see by Sunday how we will see those fuels continue to moderate across Idaho. We still will have some windy conditions ahead of the trough, mainly for the northern Utah mountains into the Uinta Mountains, again where fuels are critical and we have ongoing incidents. On Sunday, you can see the image on the left showing where we expect those showers and thunderstorms, with the dark green color indicating a little bit better chance for widespread wetting rains across Idaho. Also, the wind gusts on the right, you can see where these stronger winds will be on Sunday, mainly across Utah into southwest Wyoming, where we could see wind gusts in excess again of 40 or 45 miles per hour. So this will still be a major concern. Areas further south in the basin will have these stronger winds for the next 2 days as well. However, again, fuels have not been as critical and they've been getting moisture. Also on Sunday, we'll see winds increase across Idaho and northeast Nevada, but again, with those showers in place, RHs will be much higher with cooler temperatures. But it is something to note because those winds will be somewhat stronger than we've seen in recent days. Also on Sunday, looking at the temperatures, talking about these very cool temperatures where highs will only reach the 50s and 60s over Idaho on Sunday, which is about 15 to 20 degrees below what we would normally see this time of year with those cold temperatures into Wyoming. That would also put overnight lows in the low 30s. Further south, temperatures will be about 8 to 12 degrees below normal across parts of Nevada and Utah on Sunday, with the only low relative humidity in the south, and you can see the humidity will be a little bit higher as you go further north, especially with those showers. By Monday, this main low in the north moves east, and we have drier air over most of the basin, but you can see on the image on the right how our fire potential has moderated and become low across Idaho, just due to several days of cool temperatures, higher humidity, and then some wetting rains. Even further south, we've seen some moderation of the fuels. On Monday, again, just a few showers in the north, mainly drier conditions and much weaker winds across the area. Still some breezy winds at times across Idaho and Wyoming, but certainly weaker than what we'll see on Sunday. Again, on Monday, we may see temperatures increase a hair, however, still remain well below normal across the Great Basin, with much higher relative humidity across Idaho and Wyoming, and still down into the teens further south. The overall 3-day amount of forecast precipitation shows where we'll see those wetting rains over the next few days. Areas in the central Idaho mountains could see over an inch of total precipitation, and in the higher elevations, due to these cold temperatures, some of that will be falling as snowfall. Further south, we'll see amounts more in the half to 3/4 of an inch of rainfall, which is still significant for areas of northern Nevada into Utah. Now looking at our extended outlook into next week, on Tuesday we still have a trough in place across the Great Basin, with showers ongoing over parts of Idaho into far northern Nevada, along with those continued cooler temperatures and obviously higher humidity. This has really made an impact eventually by early next week over Idaho, with decreasing our fire potential with several days of cooler temperatures, higher humidities, and some rainfall. Further south, we have also seen the fuels moderate, but still low to moderate fire potential over the rest of the Great Basin. As we move into Wednesday, this main trough finally moves off to the east, and we see high pressure starting to build off the west coast, which will eventually move into the Great Basin. So on Wednesday, we'll see lighter wind flow and drier conditions across the area. As we go into Thursday and Friday, we see this ridge off the west coast start to push a little further eastward, and by the end of the week is starting to dominate parts of the western half and southern areas of the Great Basin, allowing for temperatures to increase again to above normal, and also with much drier conditions. We'll likely see a prolonged period of drying across the Great Basin from basically the early part of next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, through at least next weekend. And we are seeing our fuels respond to this and start to dry out once again across much of central Nevada and up into Idaho. Looking at our overall forecast amount of precipitation, which takes us really from Tuesday on next week, and we still see again some showers up across the central Idaho mountains. However, as we go into the rest of next week, we will see this drier signature across the Great Basin. Looking a little bit further out into now the end of the second week of September, we are seeing the cooler temperatures now shift eastward over the eastern half of the Great Basin and the Rockies, with these warmer temperatures now develop over southern and western areas, again in response to that ridge moving in, still with dry conditions over much of the Great Basin, especially the northern half. That concludes our briefing for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you for listening.